Hello, and welcome to Vodafone's module on defensive driving and two-wheeler safety by Invictus. The importance of this training cannot be overemphasized, especially when one looks at the huge number of lives lost due to two-wheeler related accidents in our country. In India, more than 1.5 lakh lives were lost and over 6 lakh people were injured in road accidents last year alone. In fact, we suffered the largest number of road accident-related deaths compared to any other country in the world. You would be surprised to know that road accidents kill more people in our country than epidemics and terrorism combined. Negligence is the leading cause of road accidents in our country. More than 90% of accident-related deaths can be avoided by following the basic road safety best practices and rules. While riding a two-wheeler, it is all the more important to follow safety best practices as two-wheelers are difficult to balance and smaller in size compared to other vehicles. Also, the visibility of a two-wheeler for other road users is comparatively lesser owing to its smaller height and size. At Vodafone, your safety is the top priority. As a member of the Vodafone family, it is your responsibility to ensure that you follow the Vodafone absolute safety rules at all times while also encouraging others around you to do the same. It is also important to report any non-compliance at the earliest. Let's have a quick look at the absolute safety rules that will ensure your safety on the road. While riding any vehicle, it is imperative to use proper personal protective equipment or PPE like seat belts in cars and helmets while riding any two-wheeler. If you're riding a two-wheeler, it is also essential to wear proper reflective clothing at all times, irrespective of whether you are the driver or the pillion rider. Remember, you must never use a mobile phone while driving any vehicle. As a responsible member of the Vodafone family, you should never drive under the influence of any intoxicants, drugs, or medication. It is important to note that under no circumstances should you overspeed the vehicle. Getting late is not an excuse to overspeed. Overspeeding does not only refer to the legally prescribed upper limit, but rather signifies the speed beyond which driving would become dangerous. This speed limit is governed by a variety of factors like traffic, road conditions, weather, street lighting, etc. Vodafone Absolute Safety Rules have been prescribed for your safety, and they must be followed at all times without any exception. If you choose not to follow the Absolute Safety Rules, you choose not to work for Vodafone. Today, you will learn how to keep yourself and your loved ones safe when using a two-wheeler. A dangerous driver not only risks his life, but is extremely lethal for other innocent people on the street too. Come, let us learn together how to make our roads a safer place for everyone. Happy learning! Riding a two-wheeler safely on busy Indian roads requires some preparations at our end. There are several everyday habits that can go on to make your two-wheeler ride safer. I will walk you through the most important of these habits in 4 parts, namely, what all to ensure even before you mount a bike. Once you mount a bike, what all to check before you start riding. What are the defensive driving best practices that will keep you safe? Last but not the least, how to handle emergencies on the road. Remember, if you choose to ignore safety, you choose not to work for Vodafone. There's an old saying, well begun is half done. How you prepare for your next two-wheeler ride is probably one of the most important factors that will decide how safe that ride is going to be. Irrespective of the fact whether you're going to be the rider or the pillion rider, there are certain essentials that you must adhere to at all times. Let us begin by doing a quick self-check to ensure that we are ready for a safe journey. The self-check includes making sure that you're legally compliant, medically and physically fit, and have all the necessary personal protective equipment for riding a two-wheeler. It is imperative to ensure that you have a valid driving license if you want to drive a two-wheeler. It is also important to check that the two-wheeler that you're about to mount has a valid registration, insurance, and pollution under control or PUC certificate. Being alert and well is a precondition for a safe two-wheeler ride. A fatigued, ill, or sleepy driver is highly prone to accidents. Body cramps, sweaty hands, wandering thoughts are early signs of a tired body. Avoid riding a two-wheeler if you are injured or ill, as it can greatly compromise your driving capabilities. Driving under influence of alcohol or any other intoxicant is punishable by imprisonment in our country and is one of the leading causes of road accidents. Never drive drunk. If you choose to drive under the influence of any intoxicant, you choose not to work for Vodafone. Remember, some medicines can also adversely affect your reaction time and can cause dizziness. A physically, mentally, and medically fit rider is a safe rider. In case you are a pillion rider, remember to check that the person riding the bike is alert and physically fit to drive. Using proper PPE while driving is central to the safety of the riders. The essential PPE that you must wear for every single two-wheeler ride includes a helmet, full covered shoes, and reflective clothing. To begin with, you must always wear a good quality helmet before you even sit on a two-wheeler. Ensure that the helmet is of the correct size and is securely fastened. The key to choosing a good helmet is to choose a quality product that is ISI marked and has a chin strap at least 20 mm wide. Always choose a full-faced helmet instead of an open-faced one. In case of an accident, majority of injuries happen to the face and the jaw area. While choosing a helmet, ensure that its shell is not made of any metallic substance. Additionally, consider choosing a helmet that has reflectors at the back to ensure easy visibility for the vehicles behind you. The next step is to ensure that the helmet has good internal padding and is of the correct size for you. To know what size helmet would fit you, measure the size of your head as shown in the picture on your screen. If the helmet is small or bigger than your head size, it will be of little use in case of an accident. An ill-fitting helmet will also obstruct your peripheral view, thus making you more susceptible to a mishap. A small helmet would not cover and protect your head sufficiently, while a loose helmet would have the tendency to fall off. The next piece of essential PPE that can help you avoid many of the common injuries is a good pair of shoes. Never ride a bike in sandals or flip-flops. Shoes that have solid toes, good protective sole, and are of high ankle tend to reduce injuries like fracture, ligament tears, bleeding, and burns. The shoelaces should be of appropriate length to ensure that they do not create a hazard by getting tangled with any part of the bike. Since the visibility of a two-wheeler for other road users is comparatively lesser owing to its smaller height and size, it's essential that both the driver and the pillion rider wear reflective clothing at all times while riding a two-wheeler. This greatly reduces the risk of accidents by ensuring that the two-wheeler riders are easily visible to other road users. While it is absolutely essential to wear a helmet, full-covered shoes, and reflective clothing while riding a two-wheeler, there are other PPEs that can also greatly enhance your safety and well-being. To begin with, consider wearing a good pair of elbow and knee guards along with protective gloves. These can considerably reduce the injuries sustained in case of an accident. It is also advisable to carry a raincoat with you, especially during monsoons. With pollution levels reaching a new height, wearing a pollution mask can protect your health by reducing the intake of harmful gases and materials. Another couple of useful items that you should carry with you for every single ride include a flashlight and a whistle. These can be very useful in case of an exigency. Lastly, you should consider carrying a pepper spray for self-defense, especially if you frequently travel with cash or valuables. One thing that all of us carry almost always with us is our mobile phone. Prepping your mobile so that it can be used in case of an emergency can greatly enhance your overall safety quotient. Begin with storing the emergency helpline numbers on speed dial and removing the screen lock and password. This will reduce the amount of effort and time required to punch in a number to get help. Storing a few emergency numbers on the SIM card can enable someone to help you by getting in touch with your loved ones in case an accident leaves you injured and your phone broken. Lastly, installing a good emergency app on your phone can help you reach out to all your safety buddies simultaneously and quickly, hugely increasing the chances of you getting timely assistance. The Vodafone Save Life Foundation Road Safe mobile app, available on Google Play Store, provides you with the tools which can keep you safe while on the road. It not only allows you to disable mobile distractions while driving, but also helps in automatically detecting road accidents and initiating emergency response just by using the emergency button. This app also allows you to check for traffic offenses and fines and can help you get road safety tips. Now that you're all set to mount a two-wheeler, let's also make sure that your vehicle is safe to ride. Let's begin by having a look at what and how to check in your vehicle before mounting it, and what all to carry in your vehicle to enhance safety. The vehicle that you're going to ride is an equally important component of a safe journey. A well-maintained, reliable, and well-equipped vehicle is imperative for the safety of the rider as well as that of the other road users. It is essential to carry out a periodic health check of your vehicle. We could follow the simple acronym of T-CLOCKS for this purpose. It stands for Tires and Wheels, Controls, Lights and Electrics, Oil and Other Fluids, Chassis, and Stands. We must check the tires for air pressure and tire condition, including tread depth and wear and tear. We should also check the wheels, rims, and brake pads for any damage. Check the controls for handlebars, levers and pedals, cables, hoses, and throttle. Light and electrics of the vehicle should be checked for headlamp, tail lamp, brake lights, indicators, switches, mirrors, battery, and wiring. Oil and other fluid levels like engine oil, gear oil, coolant, hydraulic fluid, and most importantly fuel should be kept at optimal levels. Any leaks should be plugged and repaired immediately. The chassis frame, suspension, chain and fasteners should also be checked for any damages. Lastly, we should also make sure that both the center stand and the side stand are free of any cracks or bends and the springs are in place with enough tension to hold position. Remember, regular maintenance and upkeep of your vehicle not only reduces the risks of breakdowns and accidents, but also helps bring down the running cost of your vehicle. The last thing that you must ensure before mounting a two-wheeler is that you're carrying a toolkit and a first aid kit in your vehicle. The first aid kit must contain a tube of antiseptic cream, sterilized dressings, sterilized elastic plaster, waterproof plaster, and gauze and elastic bandage for wounds and burns. Remember to check the expiry date on the contents and replenish the first aid kit regularly. Before you proceed any further, let's have a quick recap of what we have learned so far. Try and answer the following questions to check if you can recall some of the most essential takeaways. Great job. Well done. Let's continue learning. You are now all set to proceed to the next section. You and your bike are now all set for the ride. But before you start, let's quickly learn the language of the road and understand the correct posture to assume before you start riding. This is extremely important because without understanding the meaning of road signs, markings, and signals, you will not be able to react, respond, and coordinate your movements in line with the traffic and road conditions. Road signs are your friends that will help you keep safe by preventing mishaps, warning you of potential hazards, and providing you useful information when you need it. Let's start by understanding that road signs are of three types: mandatory, cautionary, and informatory. Mandatory road signs are usually displayed in circular shapes, and violation of these road signs can lead to punitive actions like fines and even imprisonment. You must be able to recognize all the mandatory road signs and know what you're expected to do when you see them. Always adhere to what these road signs prescribe, as that can often be the difference between life and death. Cautionary road signs are displayed in triangular shapes and warn us of any imminent threats ranging from poor road conditions to stray animals. Cautionary road signs should never be ignored, as that can lead to damage for self and others on the road. Informatory signs are displayed in rectangular shapes and give useful information like directions for gas stations, parkings, hospitals, and other amenities. Some of the most important road signs are shown on your screens. Understanding and following the road signs will definitely make your two-wheeler rides a lot safer. Have a good look at each one of them and remember what they mean. Another way in which roads talk to us is through markings on it. A road can usually have three types of line markings on it: the dividing lines, lane lines, and the edge lines. The dividing lines divide the road into two parts. The traffic on each of these parts is in opposite direction to each other. These lines are not to be crossed and should be treated like a divider for all purposes. You must keep left of these lines. The three types of dividing lines are shown on your screens. If the broken dividing line is on your right, then you may cross it to overtake or make a turn, but you must only do so if it is safe. If a single continuous line is on your right, then you must not cross these lines to overtake or to make a U-turn, but you may cross them to enter or leave the road or to go past an obstruction. In case there are two continuous parallel lines to your right, then you must not cross these lines unless you have to avoid an obstruction. Remember, obstruction does not mean a slower moving vehicle or a stopped vehicle. The second type of road markings are the lane lines. Lane lines are very important as they help keep traffic organized in safe patterns. There are two types of lane markings: broken lane lines and solid lane lines. When lanes are marked by broken lines, you may change lanes when it is safe to do so by indicating the intention through proper signals. We will learn about these signals very soon. But if the lanes are marked by solid lane lines, then no lane changing is permissible for any vehicle. The lanes near intersections are often marked by solid lane lines to avoid accidents due to sudden changes in a vehicle's direction. When driving on a road marked with lane lines, you must keep your vehicle entirely within a lane. It is an offense to straddle a line. Remember, lane driving is sane driving. The third type of road marking that is important for you to know are the edge lines. There are two types of edge lines: white and yellow. White edge lines are continuous lines at the edge of a road and mark the limits of the main carriageway up to which a driver can safely venture. You should not cross this line and should keep to its right at all times, even if you halt. Yellow edge lines are similar to the mandatory road sign that signifies no stopping or waiting. Many a times they are used together. You must not stop or park your vehicle in any area where a continuous yellow edge line is applied even to pick up or set down passengers or goods. While roads talk to us through signs and markings, the road users communicate with us using signals. The three most important signals that you must recognize and use are: signal to indicate that a driver is intending to turn, signal to indicate that a driver is slowing down, and lastly, the signal to indicate that a driver is about to stop or halt. The hand signal to indicate that a driver is about to turn right is shown on your screen. Notice that the palm is not facing down. This signal is to be used in combination with your two-wheeler's indicator. The signal to turn left is similar but will be done using your left hand. The hand signal for slowing down is now shown on your screen. This signal can help the vehicles behind you know in advance that you are about to deaccelerate, giving them enough time to maintain a safe distance from you. In case you are about to stop or halt, you should use the signal that is shown on your screen now. This will help the vehicles behind you stop at a safe distance from you. Always use your right hand for this signal. Now that you're familiar with the language of road, let's have a quick look at the correct position and posture for sitting on a bike. When on a two-wheeler, it is important to look straight and aim high. That is, look as straight and far as possible. Keep your shoulders relaxed, back straight, and avoid locking your elbows. Sit close to the tank, but keep some distance between the tank and the groin. Your knees should be hugging the tank and toes should be pointing straight. Have a look at the picture shown on your screen and try to maintain a good posture throughout your ride. Before we proceed any further, let's again quickly recap of what we have learned so far. Try and answer the following questions to check if you can recall some of the most essential takeaways. Great job. Well done. Let's continue learning. You are now all set to proceed to the next section. Well done. Now you have the basic knowledge to start riding a two-wheeler safely. But knowing what to do is not enough if we do not apply what we know in real life. Now that you are all set to start riding, let's go over some important defensive driving best practices. The best way to keep yourself safe is to always expect the unexpected when on the road. Never take safety for granted and prepare to save yourself against the worst case scenarios. Just because you are careful does not mean that everyone else on the road will also be adhering to safety best practices. You must buffer in for other people's mistakes, road conditions, and even stray animals. Accidents can happen in very unexpected ways, and the only way to save against them is to be prepared for anything. For this reason, never try to overtake at blind turns. Always assume that someone might be coming at high speed from the other side. Slow down and stick to your lane. In fact, be prepared for a situation where someone else might be approaching you from the opposite direction at high speed in the line of collision. In the video shown, the biker who was in his lane also suffers a horrific accident. Anticipate and be prepared. Respect the road markings, and in case the road is unmarked, be even more cautious. Similarly, when crossing a parked car, always assume that someone will open the door just when you're crossing the vehicle. Change the lane if possible and stay clear of its door span. While doing so, you should indicate to the traffic around you using proper hand signals and vehicles indicators. Another factor that you must buffer for is that Indian roads are shared by stray animals too. Animals, unlike humans, do not understand any traffic rules, and sharing roads with them is really tricky. Animals cause several road accidents every day. While riding a two-wheeler, it is important to be prepared for a situation where an animal suddenly comes in front of your vehicle or hits it from the side or behind. The best way to protect yourself from these situations is to maintain low speeds whenever you are on a road on which animals can be present. Never take safety for granted. Remember, you can only control your actions and your vehicle. Other road users, from humans to animals, can and will do something unexpected every now and then. It is imperative that you are not caught by surprise in case the worst happens. Be proactive and look out for danger if you want to avoid it. While you should be prepared to save yourself against the negligence of other road users, it is important that you yourself do not violate any road safety rules. When approaching any traffic signal, slow down, observe, and then react appropriately. In case the light has turned yellow or red, slow down and indicate to the traffic behind you that you're about to stop. Always halt before the stop line. In the video shown on your screen, maximum damage is sustained by the cyclist who halted after the stop line. The bikers who have crossed the stop line also have a very near miss. You will notice that the vehicles that have not crossed the stop line are completely safe. The stop lines are drawn keeping in mind the probable crash zones at an intersection. Respecting the stop line will ensure that you are out of the harm's way while waiting at a signal. Your starting or stopping should not come as a surprise to other road users around you. Therefore, it is important to indicate well in advance if you're planning to slow down, stop, or start your vehicle. Always stop gently, giving enough reaction time to others around you. One of the places on the road where you must slow down and be prepared to stop at a moment's notice are zebra crossings. Whenever you notice a pedestrian on the road, slow down, stop, and give way. Never try to outpace a pedestrian. Remember to use proper signals when slowing down or stopping. Even if your signal is green and ideally it is your time to cross the intersection, be careful and look out for that driver who might jump the signal from the other side. As mentioned earlier, never take safety for granted. When you start slow and gentle, it gives you the time to react in case something unexpected happens. A gentle start is only going to help if you drive safely after that too. A rash driver is like a time bomb that can kill not only himself but other innocent road users as well. It is essential that you follow all traffic safety rules and never exceed the speed limit. Never exceeding the speed limit is one of Vodafone's absolute safety rules and is an essential component of a safe ride. As mentioned earlier, overspeeding does not only refer to breaching the legally prescribed upper limit, but rather signifies the speed beyond which driving would become dangerous. This speed limit is governed by a variety of factors like traffic, road conditions, weather, and street lighting, etc. If you notice that someone else is driving rash or dangerously, immediately try and increase the distance between them and your vehicle. Ensure that you are at least 6 seconds away from them to get enough reaction time. Do you know that a majority of accidents are preventable if the drivers follow speed limits? At lower speeds, the drivers will have more time to react, and even if the accident does happen, the injuries sustained will be much lesser compared to high-speed accidents. Crossings where there are no traffic lights are especially dangerous. Do not assume that every driver will respect traffic rules. Many a times you would have noticed that drivers speed up to reach the crossing before the traffic coming from the other side so that they do not have to stop and give way to anyone. This leads to several accidents every day. It is important to slow down and be ready to stop at a moment's notice at a crossing. Give way at crossings and never try to outpace another vehicle. Be on the lookout for merging and intersecting traffic and even dangerous drivers. If you are entering a road or an intersection, it is necessary to merge with the traffic safely. The key to this is patience. Never try to rush in. Rather, wait for the right opportunity and proceed with caution. Try and enter the road at the same speed as the traffic on it. It is important not to cut across the road when merging with traffic, as this can lead to confusion and eventually an accident. Roundabouts are another place where you will need to merge with the traffic safely. Whenever you are approaching or exiting a roundabout, slow down and match the speed of the traffic already there. Do not halt at a roundabout. Use proper hand signals and vehicle indicators to keep other road users informed about your intentions of entering or exiting the roundabout. While merging with the traffic, remember that the traffic on your right has the right to the way, and you must give way to it. But do not assume everyone else to also respect your right of the way, and therefore it is important to be very cautious. Look out for that dangerous driver who might cause an accident. While driving, it is important to follow lane discipline. When you drive in a lane, it makes it easier for other drivers to predict where you're headed, thus avoiding accidents arising out of confusion. If you want to change your lane, it is important to check your rear view mirror and use proper signals to ensure that you do not collide with traffic approaching from behind. In the video shown on your screen, you will notice how sudden changes in direction lead to accidents that were avoidable by following simple safety best practices. The next thing that determines how safe your two-wheeler ride is going to be is the distance that you maintain between your vehicle and others. The key is to maintaining a gap that is enough for you to stop without colliding, even in case of an emergency. To achieve this, it is important to follow the 3-second rule. The 3-second rule means that your vehicle should be at least 3 seconds away from others. For example, if the vehicle in front of yours crosses a point, then you should take at least 3 seconds to cross the same point. The video shown on your screen shows how following the 3-second rule gives enough braking time to the two-wheeler rider. In case the road is wet or slippery, double this gap to 6 seconds. While it is essential to maintain a 3-second gap from the vehicles in front, it is also important to be cautious of the vehicles behind you. In case a vehicle behind you is closer than 3 seconds, give way and let it pass. While braking, use a combination of back and front brakes. Sudden and strong front or disc brakes can cause loss of balance. Applying the rear brakes or front brakes alone increases the stopping distance while also increasing the chances of you losing balance. Combination braking, on the other hand, is the most efficient way of stopping your two-wheeler. The steps to follow for effective braking are: close the throttle and apply the rear brake. Straighten the two-wheeler if needed and adjust your posture and hand position. Use the front brake and declutch. Remember, don't squeeze the front brakes too firmly. Lastly, adjust the brake pressure and combination. Remember, it's tricky to apply the brakes on a turn as the two-wheeler is slightly tilted, reducing the contact area between the tires and the road. You should always try and finish the braking before turning. From maintaining your bike to keeping distance, no matter what you do for safety, nothing counts if you use a mobile phone while riding. Using a mobile phone doesn't just mean talking on the phone. It includes any kind of mobile phone usage, from texting to checking the maps while driving. In recent years, mobile phone usage while driving has been one of the largest contributors to accident-related deaths. No call is this important that you have to attend it while riding. Never using a mobile phone while riding is one of the Vodafone's absolute safety rules. As a member of the Vodafone family, you must adhere to this rule without exception. And in case you notice any non-compliance, report it to your manager immediately. You all must have come across a railway barrier on the way at some time or another. It is important to remember that the railway barrier is there to protect you. Never try to bypass the barrier to save time. Wait for the barrier to open and only then try to proceed. Numerous people suffer a loss of life or limb trying to outrun a train. Remember, train tracks are particularly tricky to maintain balance on, and you should never try and challenge a train no matter how slow it appears to be. In case the railway track is unguarded by a barrier, be even more careful in your approach. Attempt to cross only when it is completely safe to do so. Remember, time is not more important than your safety. Wait, watch, and cross only when it is completely safe to do so. While driving, it is imperative that we keep to the correct side of the road. Many a times you might have noticed someone driving in the wrong direction. This wrong side driving is extremely dangerous for the driver and others on the road. A traffic jam or the U-turn being far away are not valid excuses for driving in the wrong direction. Never drive on the wrong side of the road, and in case you notice someone else doing so, keep your distance from that vehicle. Managing space and visibility while driving are very important, especially around bigger vehicles. The first thing to ensure is that you are not caught at other vehicles' blind spots for too long. The picture on your screen shows the areas that you should avoid if you want to be visible to the vehicle in front. Avoiding blind spot is essential near turns, intersections, and roundabouts. The videos on your screens show how being at a blind spot leads to an accident which is otherwise avoidable. Another thing to remember is that you should never try to overtake another vehicle from left. Indicate to the vehicles in front and back before attempting an overtaking, and in case you are being overtaken, give way and indicate as required. Remember, be visible, be safe is the basic safety mantra. Road conditions in our country are very inconsistent across regions and seasons. Road conditions not only decide the speed at which we drive, but also decide how much distance to maintain and how to use the front and rear brakes in combination. To begin with, look out for slippery and bad conditioned roads. Drive slow and be cautious. Road scratches can also make the two-wheeler slip, and it is advisable to avoid them if possible. Bad road conditions can cause other drivers to brake or change lanes suddenly. Be cautious and expect the unexpected. Also, loose gravel, melted tar, potholes, and unpaved roads can cause loss of balance for you or other drivers. If the road conditions are bad, drive slow, maintain distance from other vehicles, and be prepared to stop at a moment's notice. Rain can make the road slippery and cause the visibility to go down. Fog too can greatly reduce the visibility. It is therefore important to maintain at least a 6-second gap from other vehicles when weather or road conditions are bad. Moreover, avoid riding a two-wheeler if the visibility is less than 50 feet. In case of waterlogging on the road, maintain your position on the bike. Do not raise your feet to avoid water, as this can lead to loss of balance. Waterlogging and fog can camouflage potholes, open sewers, and even speed bumps. This can lead to severe accidents. The video on your screen shows how a two-wheeler rider very nearly escapes disaster due to a camouflaged pothole. In case the visibility is low, it is always a good idea to use the vehicles in front of you as markers for deciding if the road is safe to continue driving on. Never use lights on a high beam in foggy conditions, as the fog will reflect the light back towards you, further reducing the visibility. Keep your lights on low beam and drive within your lane at low speeds. As a responsible road user, it is your duty to give way to all emergency vehicles. Remember, emergency vehicles are generally at high speeds. Do not attempt to cross their path as it can be dangerous and can lead to an accident. Also, never try to follow an emergency vehicle to cut through traffic. Whenever you hear the siren of an emergency vehicle, slow down, give way, and wait for the emergency vehicle to pass. Driving at night is more challenging due to a combination of various reasons like low visibility, drivers using headlights on high beam, chances of drunk drivers being on road, and violation of speed limits due to lesser traffic on streets. To begin with, never drive a two-wheeler during the Vodafone restricted hours, that is from 10 pm to 5 am. It is also essential to ensure that your vehicle's lights are fully functional to enhance your visibility. It is advisable to keep a torch and whistle handy with you while riding at night. Prepping your mobile phone in advance is also highly recommended while riding at night. As mentioned earlier, start by having emergency contact numbers on your speed dial and installing a good emergency help app. Remember, while on the road, never stop or park your bike on slopes or edges. Only stop at designated places. Use parking lights to warn the oncoming traffic in case you have to stop. And in case of a breakdown or puncture, move away from the traffic and stand clear from the road while waiting for help. Also remember that an overloaded vehicle is always ill-balanced and difficult to drive and stop. You should always have a clear view of the surroundings while riding. Pillion rider's weight also makes the steering of the two-wheeler lighter, which can easily cause oversteering, leading to loss of balance. Lastly, remember that you are a responsible and law-abiding citizen. Never initiate, encourage, or participate in road rage. Recent events have shown how road rage incidents can quickly grow out of proportion, where people can end up losing lives. It is imperative that you never respond to any situation impulsively with anger. Even if someone else on the road is behaving aggressively towards you, try to quickly diffuse the situation verbally rather than responding with aggression. As a representative of Vodafone, your behavior should always be responsible. Remember, everyone on the road is either an existing or a potential Vodafone client. Treat everyone with respect and behave in a manner that is befitting of a responsible Vodafone employee. Before we proceed any further, let's again quickly recap of what we have learned so far. Try and answer the following questions to check if you can recall some of the most essential takeaways. Great job. Well done. Let's continue learning. You are now all set to proceed to the next section. Now that you understand how to drive defensively and safely on busy Indian roads, it is time to know what all emergency situations can arise while riding. The most probable emergency situations include accidents, crimes, breakdowns, disasters, and medical exigencies. In case of a breakdown, the most important factor to consider is personal and co-passenger safety. For this, immediately inform all concerned parties like your supervisor, office emergency response team, and the Vodafone manager. If required, contact the emergency numbers like 100 for police assistance or 102 for medical assistance immediately. As mentioned earlier, saving numbers on speed dial and removing the screen lock can greatly reduce the effort and time required to make calls in case of an emergency. In case you or the co-passenger is injured, use the first aid kit in your vehicle to reduce trauma while help arrives. Also remember, never to stop or park your bike on slopes or edges. Only park at designated places. Use the parking lights to warn the oncoming traffic in case you have to stop. While waiting for help, move away from the traffic and stand clear from the road. Great work! You have really come a long way in enhancing your safety while riding a two-wheeler. Come, let's quickly recap the habits of a good two-wheeler rider. A good rider always prepares for the ride in advance and uses proper PPE like helmet, reflective clothing, and full covered boots without exception. A good rider also always respects the rights and needs of other road users by riding safely and giving way to others. A good rider remains alert and cautious of other potentially dangerous drivers on the road and expects the unexpected while riding. A good rider follows all traffic safety rules and best practices without any exception. Lastly, a good rider always motivates others around him to adopt good road safety practices as well and immediately reports any non-compliance to his manager. Just as a good rider can be recognized by what he does, there are certain things that a good rider will never do. A good rider never rides without essential PPEs. A good rider also never drives under influence or when he is not medically or physically fit to ride. A good rider never uses mobile phones while driving, even to check the route. A good driver never overspeeds, even if the road is empty and he is in a hurry. A good rider never initiates, encourages, or participates in road rage. Before we proceed any further, let's again quickly recap of what we have learned so far. Try and answer the following questions to check if you can recall some of the most essential takeaways. Great job. Really well done. Now you're all set to ride safely. Be a safety role model for others around you. Be safe, be happy. Being a member of the Vodafone family means always keeping safety first. Let's pledge that we will always adhere to Vodafone's safety guidelines. I pledge
that I will always use roads responsibly. I pledge that I will promptly report any near misses or lapses that I notice. I pledge that I will never make an exception with safety. I pledge that I will follow Vodafone's absolute safety rules in letter and spirit. I pledge that I will try and become a safety role model for all my colleagues and other people around me.
Thank you for your time. Please remember to log the training on MSafe mobile application for records. Have a safe ride.